Hello, ladies and gents. Romie Mojo here. Please like, comment, subscribe. It always sucks when people that are held in high regard in your community have to go and get it. And what that means is anyone can get it. Anyone can get it. Anyone can get criticism. Anyone can get negative pushback. This video is basically going to be about all the negative stuff that's been going on recently in the Black community with some of our more prominent people. And yes, happy Black History Month. Let's just start things off with Monique versus Oprah. Now, when I say versus, I don't mean that it's really these two just going head to head. Just saying that there's issues that the two people don't agree on, see very differently, so they're at opposite sides. Oprah has done so much for the community, has done so much for the world, but the reality is she has some blind spots. She has some blind spots, and it's been talked about in the Black community for years. And Monique is essentially trying to continue to say that there's another blind spot. Let's big up Monique for her HBO special. It's her and an ensemble cast of talented comedians, but it's still her name as the main moniker. So big up Monique for that. But she's still frustrated with Oprah. She's still frustrated with, and she talks about, again, these are just, I'm not going word for word, but Monique talks about how Oprah, when she met Oprah as a young teen, Oprah told her she had to work very hard. And so it was very disheartening for that woman who told her to work very hard to be her ultimate roadblock. I'm not going to go that far and say something to that effect. I know that's not the words that she used, but it's essentially to that effect what Monique is saying. And she's frustrated because Oprah did outwardly, and Tyler Perry agree with what Monique was saying about blackballing and how she's being treated. But we know how this goes. Unfortunately, when it comes to business, it gets very cold. And that's what's happening. That's what's been happening. Just like with Oprah and the Russell Simmons doc that she was partially supporting originally, just like the Michael Jackson one she was supporting, but because the information was becoming conflicting, in some cases completely wrong, then she backed out, which was the right thing to do. But it's kind of becoming this game of, okay, what's really going on here? What is really going on here? And again, it does not take away from the legacy at all, but it does call into question what is going on with some of our favorite people. Second point, Diddy for years, Brother Love, Diddy Love Combs, whatever he's going by right now, Mase has some issues with him. A lot of people don't know that Mase wrote a lot of bad boy records. So publishing, him not having his publishing is a huge deal. For some artists who don't write, but for someone like him, yeah. So when Diddy did his Grammy speech and he essentially called out how, hey, all of you in this room or other people in this room in general, it's not essentially the Black people's jobs to go and just be the change. It has to start with you, essentially. And that rubbed Mase the wrong way because he's like, hey, you're Black and you're talking about other people outside of our ethnicity, race, culture, doing right for us, but what about you? And what about the publishing? Here's the issue. When it comes, again, this is another business thing. When we talk about business and morality or what should be technically right, it's two separate things a lot of times. Not all the time, but a lot of times. And especially in the music business, when it comes to signing off your rights to your publishing, signing off your rights to your royalties in general to music, anything that you sing on, anything that you write on, which is the publishing side, it's still kind of common. It's still kind of common. Maybe nowadays they just do a higher percentage that they can take, but it's still happening to this day. People are still signing those contracts. In the 90s, that was common. Look at LaFace. Look at Bad Boy. Look at actually the other companies, Columbia, all this other stuff. Come in. But it does hurt and it does feel different. And it is different when it's people who you are working closely with, laughing, crying in your face. I do understand that some people feel like Mase, because there's a report that Mase had the opportunity to get his publishing back originally before he re-ups his contract and asked for a really big advance at the time. I don't know the details of that, but unfortunately, if that was the case, then the reality is that just like a business, record companies are like loan sharks, are like banks. Now, can you get a good deal? Yes. Yes, you absolutely can. But a lot of people do not, especially people who are coming from environments where they're poor and they just see, oh my gosh, this person is successful and they want me to work with them. Bet, let's go. Let's go. Let's do this. Now, because of that, a lot of people have gotten yoked up. Mase was really upset because he realized he didn't want to go and ever say anything unless he was in a position of power financially. He had $2 million, has $2 million. He offered it to Diddy, and Diddy said, look, if you come back to me with numbers that are competing with what the European guys are offering, then fine. Apparently, there is a clause in the contract there where his publishing can revert back to him when he turns 50. But let's just call it what it is. This is the industry, the foolishness mess. No matter how much we love these different entrepreneurs, these legends, these icons, when they become boss status and become leaders and CEOs and presidents, it changes. Things change drastically. People still love Jay-Z, but the reality is that Jay-Z, being a businessman and an artist, has made moves that have personally pissed off people and made them look at him very differently. Not saying that people don't have the right to look at him differently, whether it's with the whole NFL and Kaepernick thing, which, sidebar, until Kaepernick starts to talk more about himself, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it because at this point, it's all just rumors. Come on now. Anyway, moving on from that. So for me, unfortunately, I revert back to the business side. Again, morally, it would be great if certain moves that were made that could accomplish the business side, but also just do right by people who we feel like, yeah, should be done right by. But it gets more complicated than that when contracts are involved. Speaking of another, Kelis. Kelis, she is just cooking. She's out on that farm. She is living her life. And but she is honest. In a sense where if you ask her something, she won't be like one of those stars that's like, oh, she will answer. And so she, again, because this isn't new, but she again had talked about how her and the Neptunes, and she really trusts Chad. I think it was Chad and Pharrell, and how they originally worked on her album. I think it was her first 2 albums, and how they kept her the royalties or the publishing from the albums. Now, I did get a little confused. I was not sure about if Kelis actually wrote on the albums. I'm sure she did, but I don't know how much she wrote on it. That's the only thing that I was confused on. Not saying that she doesn't deserve something. That is not what I'm saying at all. Again, this is business. I don't know if this is a situation where so much money was put out that technically what was supposed to be her portion was eaten up, because they can do that in the contract too. A lot of people don't know that. They can put the expenses on you. If they are working, if Pharrell and Chad are working on this as producers, and yes, this helped make them who they were. So definitely just making sure that Kelis was good would have been great. the reality is the lawyers came in and said, oh, no. This is what is owed. This is how much their time was as producers, as writers. And it might have been one of those things where they just figured, oh, you know what? We'll just take the money as payment and call it a day. I'm not saying that's the right way to handle it if that's what happened, because it's a contract. We don't know the details. And this is the thing with the industry. It's all nasty. I'm not saying that any of these situations aren't nasty, because they are. It doesn't change how I feel about Pharrell. It doesn't change how I feel about Chad. And it doesn't change how I feel about Kelis. Because unfortunately, I look at the industry first. When you come into the industry, you're going to get screwed over. You might be doing the screwing, which is not cool. But until I know the details, I'm not the type to just go and be like, sorry. I'm not. Last thing, though, is Terry, come and support me, Black Men and Women Crews. Terry Crews, instead of either just saying nothing, because he had the right to absolutely not say anything. There's some people who don't understand that. There is power in not saying anything. It does leave things to interpretation, which is dangerous, but it'd still be a lot better than you saying something and it messing up other things. He said something. He was told not to say anything. He still felt it. And his spirit was vexed that day. That they asked him a question. He answered, excuse me, recovering from the flu, a mess. I'm just so shocked. I'm shocked because of it being Gabrielle Union. I'm not shocked because of his stance. I'm shocked because of who he did it to. And it speaks volumes. Him having the audacity to go on national television, saying when he was saying about because he didn't experience racism or sexism there. First off, the production company is the one that's being accused of certain things, not the network directly. We thought it was the network Gabrielle was referring to. She was talking about the production company and maybe some people involved with the network, but primarily the production company. I should say some people who worked for the production company. And because of the fact that you didn't experience sexism or racism working with them, what the hell does that have to do with her saying that not only did she experience certain racism or sexism, she also saw it occur with other either contestants, other co-workers, and she was the one who was vocal about it. She didn't have to be, but she did. She didn't have to defend him, but she did. She quickly defended him when he talked about how Hollywood manager or producer groped him at a party and he was either drunk and laughing and no one said anything or did anything. And so he knew if he attacked him, then the media will have just spun it as him being out of control and a danger, and him being the 6'4", 6'5", muscle bound Black guy. Here's the thing. This is exactly what Black women are talking about how Black men, forget anyone else. It doesn't matter. How Black men are not defending Black women, especially when Black women are going above and beyond to defend their fellow Black man. Like I said, he did not have to say anything. He did not have to go on, and because of his ego and his pride was hurt or stoked, he then talked about how, the only woman that he answers to or has to please is his wife. Not his daughter, not his mother. Let their husbands, boyfriends, whatever, please them. But I'm thinking, oh my God. And then he kept going. He even made some comment about, it was like, I'm the chicken, but you brought me the egg. Something. He was essentially trying to say that, you know, his opportunities and what he did, he worked hard for it, and no one just gave it to him. And then he apologized. I can say that. He apologized. It felt like a press release. He mentioned about how he talked to Kevin Hart and told Kevin Hart that Kevin needed to be accountable. And so when Kevin was going through his situations with his wife, and how he needs to do the same. And so he did at Gabrielle Union. He did apologize. But Gabrielle, and this is why, one of the reasons why I love her, her energy is consistent. The apology, I'm not even going to say went in one ear. Here's the wall. The apology didn't get past the wall. Because it was just like, oh, dude, go scratch. She did not say that. But her response was essentially like a go scratch. You can take that and put it somewhere else. And and her husband, Dwayne Wade, also said, you know, someone needs to take his phone. And that's what we all felt like. Did someone need to take your phone? When he was originally saying what he said, even with the apology, because the damage is done. And now going forward, it's going to be interesting how this operates for Terry Crews, because let's be clear, sometimes these black celebrities may know they're black, they embrace their blackness, and they love their blackness. But because of money and corporations and contracts, they do stupid stuff that's in direct disregard for their blackness, for what you think their character is. And that's what happened with Terry Crews. So that was it. I enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. If you like this format of a video better, I'll do this more often.